What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Corvette Weekly. Welcome back to the channel where we do and talk about anything and everything Corvette related. Tonight, we're going to focus very heavily on the maintenance plan for the C8 Corvette on the transmission specifically. I want to make sure by the time this video is over, you guys fully understand exactly what the maintenance plan is, how you can protect your transmission a little bit better moving forward. We brought Brandon on for the first time in a while. Brandon has had a ridiculously hectic schedule. He could finally get on today, and I thought what better time than now to talk about the transmission in general, because Brandon's done a lot of stuff with the transmission in his car. We've talked about it multiple times on the channel about the maintenance part of it, how to maintain your warranty and all that stuff. We're going to talk about all of it tonight. So if you own a C8 Corvette, regardless of what performance variant, this is going to clear up, hopefully, the warranty and the maintenance aspect of this transmission for you, because I've gotten a billion questions about this. And I'm probably barely exaggerating. I've seriously gotten so many questions about the maintenance of the transmission that I feel like we had to make another video talking about this in greater detail. So we're going to talk about a bunch of really interesting stuff with the transmission tonight, including another car that actually uses the same transmission that I wasn't even aware of. So we're a bunch of awesome stuff happening tonight, guys. But first, we're going to talk to I guess we'll call him Santa Solar here. If you guys haven't seen that yet, well, I'm going to bring him on. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the HPO vet exchange stuff, some interesting news there, and then we're going to talk about a little bit of a giveaway. We got a couple giveaways tonight, guys. But the first one, I'm going to throw it over to Joe. I'm going to let him talk to you a little bit about it. Joe, take it away.
Thanks, Justin. Hey, Brandon, it's good to see you again. Hello, everybody. And any of you that were thinking about the Red Mist Z06 3LZ we had, that one actually is now sold. However, not to fret, we have a 2023 Silver Flare Z06 convertible, one owner. It's natural interior, which really showcases this car well, in my opinion. Carbon fiber wheels, less miles actually than the Red Mist. This one coming in at 3,478 miles. It's been reduced a couple thousand, so it's now 125,900. And as you've heard me say before, when you look at the 24, 25, and now 26 price increases just on the base car alone, let alone the options, this is a really attractive deal for basically a new car other than the year. So take a look at it. It's on the site. And if you're interested, you know where to reach us on the email. The other thing I just wanted to mention that we're getting closer to, and Justin teased on this last week, we are working through, he and I, a new relationship that I think we'll soon be able to announce. And it's going to be awesome for not only the channel, but for every member and every follower. And we'll leave it teased out for now at that. But hopefully in the next week, 2, 3, we'll be able to give you more clarity on that. But it's definitely going to be a big deal for the channel, and a big deal, we think, for all of you that are interested in new and or pre-owned Corvettes. So that's pretty exciting. So stay tuned for that. And then last thing before I hop off is there's been rumors of a solar horsepower obsessed holiday giveaway. I've had some people even think that somehow I was related to Santa Claus, but I can assure you he's at the North Pole and I'm in New Jersey. So that is an impossibility. So it is not me, although I have heard that there is a holiday giveaway. And Justin, I think you said you were going to pin it to tonight's, comments. And so if you are interested in that, you can win at no charge a C6 through C8 throttle controller just by entering. And you don't need a whole lot of information, just first, last name, and email. No other private information is required. And Justin, you're going to draw the winner, I believe, right, on a Monday Live in early January?
That's right. First Monday of January.
Awesome. So make sure you enter, and good luck to you. And I will see you all next week. Have a super week, everybody.
Thanks, Joe. All right, guys. So like Joe said, we are partnering up to give away a solar performance throttle controller. And this is totally free. You don't have to pay anything to enter. You literally go to the link, which I'm going to put in the chat here in a second. Click on that link, put in your first, last name, and email, hit submit. You are then entered. So that's the link you're going to want to go to. It is If you're watching this video after it's live, it will be also in the description down below. Just click on the link, put in that information, and you're entered to win. I will be basically telling the winner who won on January 5th, I think it is. The first Monday of January, basically. So be sure to tune in on that, and you can win not even having to spend any money. You're going to get awesome giveaways on this channel all the time. This one doesn't even require any kind of entry fee. So we are going to actually we're going to do another giveaway tonight, one that will end tonight. Then we're going to continue the Euro taillight giveaway from cforce Performance. Now, you guys know Brandon here. It's been a little bit since we've had him on the channel. He actually has the Euro taillights on his car as well. And he's actually one of the very first ones that I ever saw put those on the car. And I remember after he did, I thought they were pretty cool, but they didn't make sense for me at the time because I had a black and red car. It didn't really matter that my taillights were red. But the second I got my Seawolf gray car, I knew I wanted those Euro taillights. So I sent him a message and asked him how he liked them. How do you like them, Brandon?
I've had them for what, almost 2 years now. I love them. I think it's like a game changer for my color, especially rapid blue. I don't think they work on every single color, like you
I
said
agree.
with the black.
Yep.
I'm not sure that they really work on black unless you have some sort of like gray theme, black on gray, which is kind of weird. But every other color, as far as like the whites, I think the rapid blues, the dark blues, I think the reds they look really good on depending on your trim package. So I like it. I've had no issues with them. I think they're a good addition. And plus, my favorite thing about them is the dual turn signal part.
Yep.
Instead of having one bulb on the turn signal, having two. And then if you add on the Formula One brake style with the third brake clamp, that just completes the whole package. That's like another like $80, and you can add that on and just be done while you go in there. So that's what I did.
Yep. So guys, again, like I said, cforce Performance is sponsoring the month of November here. And he has given me the go-ahead to give away something else on top of the Euro taillights. So if you want to get in on the Euro taillights, you definitely should. We've had a couple entries already at this point for these taillights. And of course, you guys, that's all carrying over. We're going to give these away next Monday night. But if you want to increase your odds of winning, it's not a bad idea to throw a couple extra bucks at these because there are at least two pretty heavy hitters on this. And of course, I think we know who those people are. We got Jay Brazelton and Steve Robertson, I believe, in first and second place. Yeah, so Steve Robertson's got 101 entries. Jay has 81 entries. Then Jamie has 30. Anthony George, 20. E-Ray Ricky, 20. Jack Morris, 40. Texas Clay, 20. Keith French, 2. Big 11, 4. And Mark, 40. So everybody else, there's a bunch of people with one entry that were free entries from last week, which I will be offering free entries again next week for the Euro taillights. But if you want to get in, if you want to increase your odds, it's not a bad idea. Any of the entries tonight will go into that, as well as the new giveaway we're going to be doing tonight, which is a $100 gift certificate towards anything on the cforce Performance website, as long as it's over $199. So you'll save $100 off of anything $199. So basically it would be $99. But if you're interested in a set of Cook's headers, which oddly enough, again, this guy has, he is offering a code on his site right now. If you want Cook's headers for a C8Z06, the code is HPO Cooks 200, and I'll paste that in the chat. That will save you $200 off of the Cook's headers, and you can win the $100 gift certificate. Still save yourself $300 off a set of Cook's headers if you wanted to do that. So that $100 gift certificate is going to be the same as every other entry. If you enter in tonight, you will be entered for both the Euro taillights and the gift certificate, but I'm only going to give away the gift certificate tonight. The Euro taillights will be next Monday night. So we already got Jamie in for 100, it looks like. So he's in for another, he's in for another 20 entries, and that's going to be for tonight's giveaway, as well as the Euro taillights for next Monday night. So Jamie is in for 20. If you guys want to get in to win this, it's a pretty good idea. Save yourself a good bit of money on some Cook's headers, or just $100 off of anything on their website. So let's see.
I've been pretty happy with the headers. I tell you with the sound though, like I want to hear against the ARHs just to kind of like get a comparison. But from a sound standpoint, I feel like it keeps enough of the soft pitch, but adds a little bit more volume to it. So I like it. I've been pretty happy with them, the swap. Only thing I will say, if anybody does do it, is to coat them 100%.
Yeah.
Like coat them Zet hot, either do their 1200 degree or even better do their 2000 degree, just to kind of like get you more heat protection.
Yeah. Yep, I would agree with that. So we got Charles in for 10 entries. Thanks, Charles. But yeah, Brandon is pretty happy with his headers. If you guys haven't heard his car sounds like an absolute monster. So if you want your car to sound something similar to his, a good first step is a set of Cook's headers, and you can get a pretty good price on them. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Professor Corvette says, can we get an engine intake painted in candy cane stripes? I bet you you could. Yeah, I bet you could. What did we just get there? Steve. Is that Steve Robertson again? I gotta see, because Steve Robertson really wants these taillights if that's him. It is. So Steve Robertson's in for another 20 entries. And of course, he's also going to get 20 entries into the $100 gift certificate giveaway as well. So he is now in for 121 entries. So Jay Brazelton, I know you want these taillights, but you've got yourself a good old-fashioned slobber knocker here. I don't know. You going to let him run away with it?
Hey, Riptide Rick, on the taillights, it's super easy. You can have the bumper off in like 40 minutes. And then it's just unbolting, like, I don't remember, it's like 8 bolts or something on the taillights themselves. There's like 2 or 3 connectors that just pop loose once the bumper comes loose. And then you just, you can take your electric ratchet and have them off in probably 5 minutes once the bumper's off.
Yeah.
Super easy swap on the taillights.
Yep. So if you guys didn't see my video whenever I installed mine, I actually installed them while I was at AWE, because I let AWE do the hard stuff. They took the bumper off, and while the bumper was off, I swapped the taillights, and then they put the bumper back on. That's the way to do it. But yeah, Professor Corvette says Brand's car is the only sound from Earth that can be heard at the International Space Station. That's pretty nice. So, yeah. Yeah, the bumper's not difficult at all. Once you've done it as often as I have, I could probably get that bumper off in like 20 minutes, which is sad, because nobody should have that ability. But I've taken off so many rear bumpers so many times for like swapping out Z07 wings and stuff, or adding Z07 wings, I should say, on a car that doesn't have Z07. Yeah, Z06 hot rod Todd. That's a good question, Brian. Did you weigh them?
Actually, I did. So, that's the other thing. So they say 5 pounds.
Of course you did. What?
5 pounds. Yeah, it was 5 pounds. No
Those
joke.
taillights are 5 pounds lighter.
Oh, not taillights. I thought we were talking about the Cook's header. Sorry.
Oh.
No, they were a couple ounces heavier. Sorry.
The Euro tails are heavier.
Yeah, just a little bit. I didn't weigh them myself, but I'd heard that from Corey, because I asked Corey about it before I ordered them. And so he told me that they were just a hair, but I didn't put them on my scales to verify that. Sorry.
Okay.
I thought we were talking about Cooks. My bad.
I was gonna say, if they're 5 pounds lighter, man, I'm all in on these things. That would be awesome for a set of taillights to save 5 pounds.
I think it was something very minimal. It was in the grams. It was not a lot.
I was gonna say they're almost identical to the stock taillights. So I mean, you have to be using probably basically the same internals, the same plastic, the same housings, outside of the fact that it's gray, and like Brandon said, the turn signals function through both of the taillights rather than just the outside one like the stock one does. Yeah, 06 Hot Rod Todd says, surprise, he weighed them. Anthony George says, is the front bumper just as easy? The front bumper's a hair more difficult in my experience. Mm-hmm. Especially if you have the front cameras and stuff, because there's the connectors on the inside. They should give you like 3 inches of slack on the wires, and GM gives you like 1/4 of an inch. So you have to get your hands inside there while it's pulled away from the fender. It's kind of tight. But once you get those undone, the front bumper's not horribly difficult either. Mark Cutsey says, FYI, C8 manual for trans oil capacity refers to the dealership. Got 9 to 11 liter advice from Vet Tech, while at 9.5 liter pumped in, and then about half of the liter on the floor. Actually, we can ask Brandon for his expertise here. How much did you end up putting back in after you drained yours?
So I don't know if he's talking about just a regular
No,
Stingray or
he has a
Z06.
Z06.
Okay, so on the Z06, when I dumped mine initially, I only had to put like 9 or 9.5 back in. It was almost 10 quarts, but right as I put that 10th quart in, because I wasn't watching underneath the car, it started to drain. So I don't know how much it lost. I put 10 in, but it looked like maybe half a quart was on the ground. So then what I did is the next time I changed it another 1,000 miles later, and I think at that time I only had to add, it was somewhere around, it was just a hair over 9, like right at. So I think it retains like 2 quarts in the transmission, in the clutches and the diff.
Did you put the stock fluid in this time?
No, so I went back with the Valvoline again just because I didn't know if I was gonna be changing it, and I didn't know if I was gonna have another failure just because I got some warning signs there after 1,200 miles that the valve body gave me a code, and so then I reset, changed the fluid, and now it's been fine since, and I've got about 300 more miles since then. So I was worried it was gonna go down again, so I
Gotcha.
didn't want to dump a bunch of money in the fluid.
Now there is a chance, and I think we talked about this, but there is a chance that that message you're getting is because of the Valvoline fluid. There was a
It's
guy
possible.
on the Corvette forum that specifically said he was getting idle creep messages after using the Valvoline. So it's possible. I don't know how. I know this transmission seems to be pretty sensitive to using GM fluid, but then at the same time, we're going to talk about another car that uses it that doesn't use the GM fluid. So this thing's kind of up in the air, but we'll see. Jay Brazelton is in for another 20 entries, so we got him in for 20 entries on the Euro taillights and 20 entries into the $100 gift certificate to cforce Performance. Now, again, guys, if you haven't checked out the cforce Performance website, they have a ton of stuff. I mean, obviously, we're talking a lot about the Euro taillights tonight, but they have a ton of stuff. If you go to their catalog here, which we'll stick to C8 stuff. Let's go to C8 Z06 catalog just for giggles. This is what you're going to see: accessories, filters, exhausts, interior, all of this stuff. They literally have everything. So if you're interested in pretty much anything, and I mean, the thing is they don't even have just Corvette stuff. If you come to their drop down, they have Camaro, Mustang, Bronco, European stuff like BMWs, exotics, McLarens, Porsches, Lamborghini. They have all kinds of stuff on their website. So if you win the $100 gift certificate, you can definitely use it on something, I'm sure. But again, the Euro taillights tonight will be given away next Monday night. And tonight we're going to be giving away a $100 gift certificate to that cforce Performance website. And if you combine that with the header discount, you could potentially save $300 off of a set of Cook's headers, which that's pretty substantial because his pricing on the website is already pretty low. So again, if you guys want to try to grab those Cooks, that's the code in the chat, and I will also put the code in the comment section down below for people watching this after it's not live anymore. Let's start with some. Actually, we just got another entry here. It looks like Anthony George. Anthony George is in for another $100, so he's in for 20 entries on the giveaway tonight and the Euro taillights. So Anthony George in for 20.
You see the question, Justin, on is there a patent pending from GM on the 6-speed manual? Is that a thing? I haven't heard about that.
No. So did you see that Tremec did bring out a 6-speed manual transmission?
Yeah.
There's no patent or anything, but it is basically identical to the shape of the dual clutch that's in the C8 now. So theoretically, you could just slap that transmission in there and be good to go. But of course, there's also a lot of programming, computers, everything else that would stop that from happening, unless, of course, GM does plan on using that. I think they're going to use it in the C9. I doubt that we see it in the C8, but I think that we will end up seeing that in a Corvette at some point. A ton of stuff that weighs
them to do
much less
closer
than
gearing. Did you see the gearing on it? It was pretty much, it wasn't a big change from the 6-speed, the 6 gears. Wasn't a huge change from what we have now, which was like, to me, an instant turn off.
It's the reason is because all the literally they even said the only reason that thing exists is because a lot of people asked for it. It's not, as of right now, that does not exist in any car. But Tremec wanted to make it as a mid-engine manual transmission offering as an option for some of these manufacturers, which is why I would say we'll see it in a Corvette eventually, but I doubt it will be a C8.
I think we'll see it as GTD before we see it in the Corvette. Like, as far as like actually physically working, I feel like the Ford guys will be at it faster than the Corvette guys will.
You're probably right. Yeah, that's funny. Anthony George says, I need cforce to make one change on their website. They need to move the C8 section under exotics. And then cforce Performance says that might start a riot. And it definitely would. People hate when Corvette guys talk about their cars in a way that makes them sound like supercars or exotics. I don't think it's an exotic, but I would absolutely make the argument that it's a supercar.
What about the 01? You still, or the 01X? Would you consider the X an exotic?
No, I think
No,
that's
still not?
still a supercar.
Okay.
Somebody said that made that same argument that maybe the X would be like a hypercar or something. And I don't think that it meets those requirements, but it still meets a supercar requirement. I think the Corvette has met a supercar requirement since the C7 Z06. So the C7 Z06 and up, I think, has met a supercar requirement.
I'd say C701 and up. The only reason I say that is because all the heat issues with the regular C706, when it first came
That's
out.
true.
Just because it wasn't like a car you could just go on the track and like they were having all the heating issues, and so I
Well,
feel like there was kind of like an oversight.
They only did on the automatic C7 Z06s. The manual
True.
transmission did not overheat, and
that's a good point.
I think the C7 Z06, C7 ZR1, and then the C8 Z06, the C8 ZR1, the C8 ZR1X, I think these all apply as a supercar. I don't know that I would say that the C8 Stingray does.
No.
I don't think I would say that, but the argument still could be made to some degree, I guess. Same with the C7 Stingray. I don't think that did either. But I think the Z06s and up from the C7 generation and on, it's hard to not make that car sound like a supercar. It really is. It just it checks all the boxes. Now when you start talking,
one for you.
Okay.
E-Ray, where are you putting it? And like at a supercar? No, it's
yeah,
supercar.
Yeah. I would say it's still a supercar.
I think so because of hybrid, the whole hybrid setup.
I think it comes down more to the design and the horsepower number, and the hybrid system doesn't hurt it as far as I'm concerned. Is whether or not it's a supercar. I mean, a lot of these supercars now, like the Lambos and the Ferraris, I mean, they're going hybrid too. So like the SF90, we had a 296 in the shop. It was a twin turbocharged V6 with a hybrid motor setup. So it's like, you can't, as much as I'm not a big fan of it, you can't argue what the performance of it is. That's a good point. So Shadow Strider says, in the States, supercar, overseas, exotic.
Yeah, okay.
I'd be okay with
that.
Yeah. Let's see.
Unless it's Car Wow that's reviewing it, then it's just a regular basic sedan.
Right. I love that. They really did do a friggin' number on that.
Yeah.
Professor Corvette says, from AI, an exotic car is generally defined as a rare, high performance, and uniquely designed vehicle that stands out for its exclusivity, luxury, and price. I would agree with the majority of that. That's why I would say that the Corvette's not an exotic, but I do think it's a supercar. And honestly, I dug as much as I could into supercar definition at one point and found that there really isn't a solid definition. Like, it's kind of almost like it leaves a lot to interpretation, basically. It's a fast car that looks good, that people admire. Like, it's worded really weird where it's like, okay, that could be really anything, but
somebody on the comments put in your AI and Grok or something, is the C806 a supercar, and see what Grok says, or the AI. I'm curious what AI says about it. Or the ZR1X. See if it says put exotic 2 and see what that says.
Yeah, cforce performance. You should make a supercar section and make it just all Corvettes and see what happens. Your website would probably get shut down that night. All the haters coming there, all the Mustang guys. Yeah, I think whenever I think hypercar, especially hypercar, I think like Koenigsegg. Exotic, I think like $1 million SVJs. But when I think supercar, I think the first thing that pops in my head when I say supercar is a Lamborghini Gallardo. And those can be had for like 90 grand. And they're not that fast. And they're pretty old and dated. But for some reason that pops in my head. And if we're going to consider the Gallardo a supercar, that was at one point, I don't know if it still is, but that was at one point the most public or the most produced Lamborghini that existed. They made more Gallardos than like any other Lamborghini at one point. So if that's still a supercar, then the C8 Corvette Z06 absolutely is. It's faster, cheaper, and nicer looking, I guess.
What did they call the C401 at its time? Like, what was it classified as? Was it classified as a supercar during its time? Because it was beating them all. I don't know what.
That's the thing is that no one, other than the owners of a Corvette, no one will classify a Corvette a supercar officially. And KP just said that he remembers Road and Track saying that the C401 was a supercar. And I could find 10 examples of someone saying currently that the C8 Z06 is a supercar. But it's like no one wants to stick to that. And I'm not really sure why. It's weird. But yeah, guys, Sean says it. Let's hit the thumbs up button. Where are we at?
Oh, yeah. I haven't hit mine yet. Hang on here. Forgot to do that.
We got 140 people watching and 43 thumbs up. So that's got to change. Let's smash the thumbs up. Guys, it really helps the channel. We're going to be giving away a $100 gift certificate to the cforce Performance website tonight. They carry all kinds of stuff for the C8 Corvette. And whether you think it's a supercar or not, you could still save $100 by throwing a donation at the channel here. $10 is an entry. $50 or more is double entries. And if you get the $100 gift certificate, you can still use the $200 off coupon code that's been pasted in the chat here to save $200 on top of your $100 free off of the Cook's headers or anything you want over there. We'll save you $100 off anything $100, $199 or more. Yeah, the C401 was king of the hill. That moved on to the C601, then the C701, and now the C801 being the king of the hill. Chopper Larry, that's a really good point. So Chopper Larry actually either used to or still does work on Ferraris. I can't remember which one. But he said the Euro envy will never give it the credit it deserves. And that's really powerful stuff.
It's still on my bucket list, the C40. I'm going to have one. I'm actually working on potentially getting one in the next few years. I really hope I can make it happen.
I bet you will.
Their price is really good right now. They kind of they're at a good spot.
I bet you'll end up with one. Didn't you have a C4?
I did, but it was like an 85, like the crap interior, the crappiest cheap port. It was awful.
Yeah, guys. KP says if you hit the thumbs ups, hit the thumbs up, it automatically makes the C8ZR1 a supercar or hypercar. You heard it here first. All you gotta do is hit the thumbs up. Yeah, that's a great point, Lewis. He says the bar for supercar moves upwards with time. I think it does too, because what was a supercar? Like when I was growing up, the Lamborghini Countach was like the coolest freaking thing on the planet. Meanwhile, they're gigantic pieces of garbage today, and they probably were then too. But of course, I was too young to understand that. Giant pieces of garbage that aren't fast. They don't really do anything overly well, but those were absolutely supercars back in their day. So I do think it's a kind of like a, there's a spectrum. Black Knight, Sir Justin, when and what was the last tracking event you did on one of your personal vehicles? I had my 2023 Z06 on the New Jersey Motorsports Park track in June of maybe 23. It must have been 23. So yeah, it's been a minute. Brian says, Justin, enjoy the channel. Just got a solar for my F-150. Huge improvement. Thanks, buddy. You're very welcome. You might want to check out the link that I'll paste here again if you guys want to get into the giveaway for the C6, C7, or C8 throttle controller. Click on that link, enter your name and email address, and you could take a chance to win. You don't have to spend any money for it. You could just win. That goes for you too,
Justin, I was
Brandon.
going to ask you, do you know if they were going to have any do-it-yourself options for this recall on the fuel door? Have you heard anything about a do-it-yourself option where you could just have them ship you and then you can just do it yourself and not have to go to the dealer?
No, unfortunately, I have not. And you really should be able to, because I just saw the process the other day. I was at a dealership and somebody came in to get it done, and I was like, "Oh, I want to see this." The technician came out with a pair of pliers. I'm not even joking. Like literally a pair of pliers. Grabbed the plastic surround on the car, yanked it off, and pushed the new one on. That was it. He was done. Car's out the door. And I was like, why wouldn't we just, just offer us to ship it to my house. I'll do it myself. It's one less potential problem for your dealership. You know what I mean?
Yeah, John's got a good point for the documentation. I just wish I could drive it to the dealer. What I may do is just wait till they're walking out and then grab it and then start the car and take off and then go do it myself at the house. Just because I don't want them to do it. I don't know why. I just don't want them to.
I know, I feel the same way, but if you do end up doing that, make sure you record it. I want to see that happen.
Oh, thanks, 10 seconds, 06. Appreciate that. I'm curious what it says about the E-Ray too. I'm sure it will say the same thing.
All right, so yeah, AI. Yes, the C8 Corvette Z06 is widely considered a supercar thanks to its mid-engine layout, extreme performance, 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, 670 horsepower, advanced aerodynamics, track-focused engineering. Can we argue with AI at this point? I mean, that sounds pretty stout to me.
Well, they take all their data from like forums and stuff, so it's all, you know how it goes. It's all about whatever it's programmed with. I don't know. I trust it on a lot of things. It's getting better though. I feel like it's getting way more accurate.
Oh, every single day AI is better, and I mean that's either a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure yet. All right, let's see.
Thanks for that, KP. Appreciate that in the AI Google. It's interesting that he says it says that the 01, the C4, was an American exotic. So that part of the thing is kind of interesting. Why does it have to be an American exotic?
Yeah, exactly.
Overseas, an exotic. It's over there. It's an exotic, but it's not here.
Now, see, there's actually another way to look at this, because I've mentioned this before. If you're here in the U.S., a Corvette, if you're putting a Corvette, we'll say a Corvette Stingray up against a Porsche GT4, both are very similar performance. But most of the people here in the U.S. would take the GT4 because that's an exotic, or more. It's a different kind of car. If you go over in London, which I actually experienced this, but with somebody that was from London, I had a GT4 there and a C8 Stingray, and I asked this person, I said, "Which one are you going to take?" And I already knew in my head this person was going to say the GT4. And they're like, "You know what? I'm taking the Corvette." And I looked at them. I was like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, the GT4. I see those every day over in London." And I was like, "That's true. Like that GT4 in London is the Corvette here. You know what I mean?" So it's like it really depends on where you're at as to whether or not which car you would take.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Lewis says, "I'm getting my complimentary oil change Friday and fuel fill recall and serial data gateway module recall at the same time." Nice.
I don't know if I've had any of that done, to be honest with you, as far as the serial data thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard about the serial data thing. I wonder what that's about.
Is that just a reprogramming of the modules or something?
AARPM has just graduated to 13 months as a horsepower fanatic. Awesome. Aaron, thank you for the support. It's been awesome having you on board. You guys are there's a lot of green names in here, and every time I love it. You guys are awesome. The support is amazing. I think if you haven't seen it, I just posted on the community tab that my channel has just hit 40 million channel views. So this year we hit 100,000 subscribers, which is right there, that plaque. And then we also just hit 40 million channel views in the same year, which is wild. That is incredible. When I started this channel, I would have never guessed that I would have had more than like 50 views. And here we are with 40 million.
Oh, you had 40 million in 1 year, or the total?
No, total since I've started.
That's still holy crap.
It is a lot of views.
I think my channel has been technically up for like 5 years, and I think I just barely hit 900,000. So 40 million is insane.
900,000 is still a lot. Like, if you think about how many people that is, like potentially that many people have seen your video that you may not even know. Like, you're walking down the street one day and some guy sees you and recognizes you from a video. Like, I think that's the whole YouTube thing is just wild.
No, that's true. My only counter argument would be like, if I was female and had a bathing suit and ran around and made a video, I would get the same number at 5 years worth of my content she would get in one video. You know what I mean?
100%.
On YouTube. So that would be the only counter argument I have. So
that's not an argument. That's a statement, and you're right. It's unfortunate, but that's the way the world works.
Yeah, that's true.
Brian says, Justin, I've been hearing buzz regarding a 2027 Z06 going to high revving push rod supercharged motor. Any thoughts, my friend? Highly doubt that. You might be talking about potentially a different variant, but I doubt that they changed the Z06. With how much work and time and effort they put into the LT6, I don't see that engine going anywhere. Yep, 10 seconds Z06 says, I just noticed he has a new icon and badge too. The flame, I believe, is... Actually, Brandon does too. So you guys have both been subscribed for quite some time. I think that's 13 months. Is that what AARPMs was? Yeah.
Yeah, it was 13 months.
Yep, 13 months. Brandon was one of the first. I remember when you signed up, you were one of the first. The very first one, I believe, is Tech Speed. He's usually in here. Tech Speed was the first member. We looked at these a couple Monday nights ago where I was actually able to see who subscribed in what order. And you were pretty early on too, Brandon. Jay Brazelton's at 13 months. And he just got his new Forge Light wheels. That's awesome. You're going to freaking love those things, by the way.
Did he go with the magnesium ones, or what did he end up going with? The aluminum?
I think he went with Forged aluminum. The magnesium mag wheel group buy is still going though, guys. It's kind of a rolling group buy. So basically, if you get in if you go enter through me, this group buy is just like ever going. So right off the bat, it will save you $2,000. The magnesium wheels are usually 12 grand. You can get them for 10 if you go through me.
That's a deal on mag wheels. I think every time I was shopping, I end up going with some no-name company. But other than that, any name brand, actually good quality magnesium wheel company is going to be around 12K.
I've seen about 12 to 14 is what I've noticed too. So them being at 10 and putting out the quality that they do, that's a really good price. So chosen for service. This is actually a good point. I've been meaning to. I might make a video about this actually, because he says he just pulled the trigger on an anti-gravity battery, but it's been too cold here in Indy to install. -25 to -35 with wind chill, but it's supposed to be 53 on Thursday. I was initially a little worried about that battery in cold weather, and my Ram TRX has an anti-gravity battery in it, and the other night it got down to like -2 here, and I remote started it just to see if it would start, and it started right up like it was no big deal. So if you're not in an area where you're seeing ridiculously cold weather, I don't think it's going to be a problem. But somebody got in my head about how lithium batteries are affected a lot more in cold temperatures and it might not start, blah, blah. -2, and it started up like it didn't even hesitate for a second. Like it was absolutely fine. So, but that's good. You're going to love the battery. It's really, really an interesting, like you won't
I'm surprised you guys are driving the car that cold. Do you not get any gremlins at all, Justin? Like when you drive the car when it's like super cold, like even my fob battery, just the other day, I think it was only 20 degrees and my fob battery is not even 2 years old. And it was giving me your fob battery's low, which I know is because it was so cold. and the car was doing weird stuff. Do you not have any issues with that?
No, not really. Honestly, your car is old enough that your battery probably is dying. Now, if you actually think about the way that the battery in that remote works, if for some reason, I don't know how you store your car, like I know you park it in the garage, but do you leave the remote in it?
So I have done that before, and also sometimes I don't want to say this on here, but I will leave it to in a place where it may be cold.
Okay.
So I'm sure that's not good for it because
Right.
it's going to see not like room temperature,
Right.
because I have a
So
spare in my regular one.
the only reason I ask is because if you leave it in your car or near enough your car, it continuously communicates with the car. Whereas if it's far enough away, it breaks that communication. From what I've understood, at least, that's what I've been told. So, like, if you leave the key in the car and you park it and you leave it that way all the time, your battery in that remote will drain faster than if you took that remote into your house.
I have done that before for up to a week or two at a time. I've done that before, so that may be why it's already showing issues.
Yeah, your battery's probably dying. But honestly, I mean, technically, if you think about it, your car's coming up on 3 years old. Like, that's a
Yeah.
long time for a watch battery to power a key fob. You know what I mean?
Well, even the AGM batteries, did you get more than 2 years out of your? I know you changed it to the anti gravity, but I had to change my TRX battery within. It
Yeah.
wasn't 2 years old before I had to change it. It
I
went really quick.
I've talked a lot about OEM manufacturer batteries and the quality being really low with newer cars. Like when you buy a brand new car, the battery that you get in that car is like junk. It's like half dead already. And
Hmm.
I never had any problem with my Corvette batteries, but the TRX battery had randomly completely died on me before. And so
Yep.
when
Same.
I got that anti-gravity battery, number one, it saved what I tell you, 50 pounds or something. It was like 50 pounds lighter than the stock battery in the TRX for the anti-gravity, which was incredible. Like I could barely lift that TRX battery out of that truck. And because I mean it's already like up in the air, you know what I mean? Like then you had to
Hmm.
lift this battery that was almost 100 pounds. And it's not even a really great functioning battery.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had this, like I said, same issue. I think it was 2023 when I lost. My mine was a 2021 TRX.
Yeah. Brian says, thanks, buddy. Channel is doing great because you're honest, dude. Keep bringing us good content. I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. Yeah, the anti-gravity batteries are lithium-ion batteries, whereas the stock battery in the Corvette, at least, is a nickel cad or something. Is it nickel cad?
Don't they rate the lithium ion supposed to be like? Is it 8 years? Some of them are rated for like
10,
supposed to be an
10 to
8 year battery.
12.
10, 10.
Yeah, lithium ion's 10 to 12, whereas it's a lead acid. Yeah, what am I thinking? Nickel. Lead acid is like 3 to 5 at most. And usually if you're past 3 years on a lead acid battery, you're kind of living on borrowed time. Can it last longer? Yes. But do you really want to be stuck in a situation where it's not gonna work? You know what I mean?
I will say that auto start feature on the anti gravity. I've used it I think 3 times now because I've left like my hatch open or I've had a bunch of different things I've done or left my fob in or left my doors, whatever. And sometimes for whatever reason, I'll drain it, completely discharge it, and it's saved me I think at least maybe 3 times now where I've had to hit it and get the
Mhm.
car started. I was at my mother's house actually 2 weeks ago, and that happened. I got there and I didn't realize that my battery terminal was loose on the drive there. It wasn't probably connecting and charging the battery itself.
Yeah.
And so I went to get in it and it would not crank at all, and it completely discharged the battery. And so I just hit the button, started it, and I was good to go.
Yeah, that's a really nice feeling. I've used it a couple times. The one time I did it on purpose, I purposely drained my battery down at the Pittsburgh International Auto Show so I could see how it worked because I wanted my red daytime running lights to be on the whole time. And it was interesting to just be able to hit a button, get in the car, and start it up. Like, because without hitting that button, nothing was working. Like, you couldn't unlock it with the key fob, you couldn't hit the pad under the door to open it, nothing. It was completely dead. That makes sense. Chopper Larry says factory batteries are basically of lower quality to lower their warranty costs when they replace it under warranty. Makes sense.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I think in the future they're all going to go to every
I
manufacturer is going to go to lithium ion.
I agree. There's no reason not to. I mean, a lot of these cars, like the E-Ray, comes factory with a lithium ion battery to start the car. It's like
Yeah.
they're already doing it to some degree.
That's true.
All right, guys. So let's talk a little bit about the transmission here. That's what we wanted to really do tonight. In the meantime, smash the thumbs up. We're going to make this kind of a from this point forward. So I will cut this up and put it out for people later to where the transmission talk really starts. What I wanted to talk about is the basics here first. And we're going to bounce some things off of Brandon because he's had some experience with it as well. But the basic maintenance plan of the C8 Corvette and the transmission filter fluid. We're going to start here. So this is the maintenance schedule in your actual owner's manual, where it flat out says that you are to replace the transmission filter, the canister filter, in the first 7,500 miles. So right here you can see that's your 7,500 mile mark. And it says change the dual clutch transmission canister filter. So at 7,500 miles, you should be changing at least that transmission filter. Now, based on my experience and Brandon's experience, I'm pretty sure he would agree, I feel like it needs to be changed a fair amount more often than that. I think GM saying 7,500 miles and not putting a year amount on it is a big mistake. I think somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 miles, that should be changed, and every year. What do you think, Brennan?
Yeah, and I'm moving forward. I'm going to even take it a step further, at least for my use. I'm going to change my fluid every year as well, transmission fluid. But that's excessive use. I don't think everybody has to do that. But for me, I'm going to change not only my filter every year, but I'm going to change my fluid every year as well. I wouldn't recommend that unless you just track or you drag race and you beat on your car like all the time. You know.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about what he's talking about there in the future here. But for now, if you're gonna follow this to an absolute T, you got to change that filter at 7,500 miles. Like I said, I would do it earlier than that. So would Brandon. And honestly, it's not going to hurt anything. There's no problem that will ever arise from changing your filter too often. So yeah, change that at 7,500 miles. Now, the next part, and this is the thing that gets me. I hear this a lot on Facebook about how complicated the maintenance plan for the C8 Corvette transmission is. And it's not complicated. 7,500 miles, you change the transmission canister filter. And the next part, which again is laid out in your owner's manual, is to change the fluid, all of the transmission fluid at 45,000 miles or 3 years. So most of us are not going to put 45,000 miles on their car within 3 years. So that means after 3 years of owning the car, you have to change the fluid. Now, at that time, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, Justin, should I change the filter again as well as the fluid? And I said, why not? You're already in there with the possibly, I mean, you don't have to take the pan off, but I mean, you got the fluid drained out. Why wouldn't you change the filter? Why not? Now, it doesn't say you have to, but why not? Like I said earlier, you can't change it too often. So why not? So that's it. That's the maintenance plan. The transmission filter, 7,500 miles. The fluid, 45,000 miles or 3 years. That's really it. I take it a step further, just like Brandon said. I change my transmission filter every oil change. So that's once a year. I will change that filter. Now, whenever I did track time in my black C8Z06, I did change it right before and right after as well. But Brandon actually had a little bit of a situation with his car and had to change some parts on it. If you guys haven't seen it, you can always check out his channel. But Brandon, tell us a little bit about what kind of problem you had with your transmission.
So if you don't know me or follow my channel, I pretty much beat on my transmission pretty hard. I probably have at least, I've been to the track 3 times with, probably at least 25, 30 dragway passes, street passes. I probably have 50 to 60 quarter mile passes on the street, launch after launch after launch, trying different tires to see if I could get 60-foot times down. So, I mean, I really do a lot of launching on my car. That's the moral of the story. And I hit 13,000 miles and had been relatively trouble free, except for I noticed at about 8,000 miles, I started to get some clutch slip in my transmission. I tried nitrous for a couple passes and instantly developed clutch slip. And so I installed the clutch pressure controller to increase the pressure. So that went away and had been driving fine, no issues otherwise. Clutch slip was gone. I hit 13,000 miles, or actually it was 12,000 miles. And I was driving with my daughter into town. I got a rear axle off warning and service transmission, and it kind of stopped moving in traffic. So I'm stuck in traffic, car's not moving. I instantly put it in park. I turn the car off, I turn it back on. I engage drive again, and for whatever reason, this time it started to move on its own power, but it only had, I think it was the odd gear. So I had like first gear and third gear. And so I pulled over. Happened to have my scanner with me. I reset my codes. And after I reset my codes, I started again, and all my gears are back. And so I was able to drive home. And so I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know exactly what at this point, because now it was driving fine. So I drive 30 miles home. I get home and it seems to be okay. Don't have any issues. So then I'm like, okay, that was a warning sign. I should have at that point just stopped everything I was doing, changed my fluid and my filter. But I just thought this was like a glitch, because sometimes they'll have some power issues and they'll throw codes based on like low power. And so I thought maybe that was it. There was a bunch of different things I was kind of troubleshooting to see if that, because it was now driving fine. It seemed normal and there were no more codes that popped up. So I went on another trip for probably another 40 miles. I went to the gym, came back, and I decided to go wide open throttle pass on the way back. And right after I did the wide open throttle pass, it did the same thing again. At this time, I couldn't move the car at all. And so I was stuck basically on the side of the road. I reset the battery again, tried the same steps, didn't work. So I'm sitting there, I'm actually blocking someone's driveway. There's some cleaning crews trying to get in. I can't move. They're looking at me weird because my car's revving. I'm trying to get it to drive. It won't do anything. And I kept doing the same process over and over again. And eventually it allowed me to drive with just the odd gears again. So I got it home. I think I ended up having to stay in third gear, drove it home, got it there. And then after that, I pretty much lost all gears. It was throwing probably 7 or 8 different TCM codes, P0700, which is the main just code to kind of activate the check engine light, that was on, and then a bunch of clutch pressure codes. So because of all the mods in my car, the clutch pressure controller, I knew I didn't have a factory warranty. So then I'm kind of figure out, what do I do to fix the car? I know this is going to be on me. Do I replace the transmission, or do I try to replace the valve body? Because there were 2 valve bodies in the car. There's a main valve body, and then there's one that controls the shift forks. And so I wasn't sure which one was the problem child. I did a bunch of research. It looked like the dealers have been replacing the main valve body. And what they've been doing before that was doing the flush procedure multiple times to see if that would fix it. So I tried that about 3 or 4 times, didn't fix it. I could drive it around the driveway, it would be okay for a minute, and then it'd do the same thing again. So I knew that something was probably in the valve body trash wise. So then I went to the GM dealer. I finally found the right part number for the valve body. It was around $2,000. You can get it for $1,850 from like Rock Auto or some of the like cheaper GM places. And I bought fluid, and I bought the main filter, and I bought a new service filter. So total cost was around $2,300, and that's with Valvoline fluid. And I chose Valvoline fluid because I didn't know this is going to work, and I didn't want to spend $300 on OEM fluid and then this not work, and then I'm out that and I have to buy a new transmission anyway. So I luckily had the service manual. It looked like it was a pretty easy swap, and it actually wasn't bad. It's not easy, but it's not necessarily hard. It's about a 5-6 hour ordeal. I didn't have to jack the transmission up. I was able to kind of get in there. There's about 4 bolts that are kind of hard to get to. But if you have the right tool, you can kind of make your own tool, whatever you need to do to kind of get in there. The problem is you can't torque those 5 bolts back to their factory specs, which is only like, I think it's 48 inch-pounds or something. Don't quote me on that, but it's very like small amount of torque. So I ended up replacing the valve body in the car, and then lucky enough, it fixed it. And I had to do, the one thing is you can't just change the valve body. You also have to do a new relearn on your clutch pack and on the valve body itself. So you can't do the swap unless you have that scanner like what Justin has, or one of the bidirectional scanners that's capable of doing that process. The one I have is the same one Justin has, which is around $500. I think some of the cheaper ones will probably do the same thing. I just don't know that to be a fact. So you're going to be spending, if you want to do this yourself, at least if you have to buy the scanner, around $2,700 to do it yourself. But if you're a guy that has a 2020, Stingray that has no warranty, and you're outside your 5 years, and your trans goes down, and your codes are similar, and the dealer tells you it's a valve body, this is something that can be done yourself. So I've been initially, after that, the transmission has been fine. I went about 1,200 miles, and I got a rear axle off code, and it started to act like it was going to do the same thing. I immediately pulled over. I keep my scanner with me now in my car. I did a flush procedure. I drove home. It's been fine since. I changed my fluid immediately because I knew that there was some residual fluid. I sent the fluid to a Blackstone for analysis, and it looked like, from what they said, there's a lot of insolubles and in the fluid itself, and these insolubles they think is clutch material. So mine had excessive clutch material from probably all the launches that I was doing, and I think the reason I had a failure was I was at the 2 year mark. They recommend for track use to change your fluid every year. So I should have looked at my car and said I treat mine like a track car. I should have changed it after a year. And so I think that was my failure was I had a lot of debris. That debris clogged the valve body. That's why the valve body fixed it. I think other people are having similar issues if you don't follow the correct maintenance plans. And I think a lot of those can be avoided. In my case, I should have changed my fluid after a year. When I saw the fluid that came out, it looked like muddy, like swamp water. It was some of the nastiest, gnarliest fluid I'd ever seen. You couldn't even see through it. It was pretty much black, at least a dark gray, almost black color. Lots of sediment in it. All the magnets on the base of the pan were covered in this soot. Even when I pulled the valve body down, every passage had this debris in it. And it's very fine stuff. And they call it insolubles in the Blackstone or oil report. So anyway, that was my experience. So my big takeaway from that was changing the fluid more often is probably going to be a good thing if you beat on your car a lot. If you drive like a normal person, it's going to be fine to do your normal maintenance intervals. But if you're beating on it or dragging it or launching it all the time, then I think it might be reasonable to consider the track change, which would be a year to change your fluids. And like Justin said, every year on your filter too, and he's going to tell
Yeah.
you why here in a minute, why that might be a good idea.
Yeah, the initially when I first got the Z06 especially, I had a feeling that I was going to do that transmission filter change more often than not because there's really not a good reason not to do it often. So I started doing it every oil change. And honestly, yeah, the clutch material that ends up in there, especially if you drive it aggressively, Brandon probably drives it a little more aggressively than any of us do, but to be honest with you. But hard launches, the one thing that is harder on the transmission than you would think is paddle shifting, and rather than letting the transmission shift itself, that I've heard actually creates more like material clutch dust in the fluid. And I paddle shift that car every single time I drive it. So like I said, yearly filter changes for me. I'm going to stick to that. That's what I've been doing. And the reason why Brandon said that we're going to talk about why that's kind of interesting is because if you guys haven't seen it, Maserati MC20 is actually one of the only Maseratis I've ever seen that actually interests me in the slightest. Maserati typically makes like kind of junky cars, but an MC20 actually is, not only is it a good looking car, but it's apparently a pretty good functioning car. And they actually use the same dual clutch transmission in that car that the Stingray does. So the C8 Stingray has the same dual clutch transmission that the MC20 does. And the MC20 has somewhat of a different maintenance plan, which is really interesting because it's like it's the same transmission, but somehow the maintenance plan is different. And one of the things that this maintenance plan calls for that's different is yearly filter changes. So this is the information here. The MC20 does have the same Tremec transmission as the C8. The maintenance schedule is a little bit different though. This comes straight from the Corvette forum. The DCT external canister filter, called fine filter, is changed every 9,200 miles basically, or every year. The fluid is changed every 4 years instead of 3 years, or 37,280 miles. The internal suction filter is changed every 8 years, or 75,000 miles basically. That one's interesting too because GM claims that the internal filter on this transmission is a lifetime filter. It never needs replaced. But on the DCT for the MC20, they want it changed every 8 years. The owner's manual recommends a different transmission fluid than what we're using in there. So odds are good. If I had to guess, they're probably the same the same fluid, just rebranded GM. One's GM, one's Maserati. And although the engine is quite different, the break-in instructions appear nearly identical and even mention torque limit and low gears for the first 500 miles. So a little bit of a different setup here for what is ultimately the same transmission, which I think is kind of interesting because then a lot of these maintenance musts that GM throws in this transmission kind of start to seem like maybe they're more of a recommendation than a must. And some of the recommendations don't really make sense. They want you to change that fluid in 3 years versus Maserati's is 4 years. Maserati says flat out change that filter every year, where GM says just do it every 7,500 miles. Or 7,500 miles is the first one. Afterwards, the second one is like, I think it's 22,500. It's not even another 7,500 miles. It actually pushes it even further. So I think it's kind of strange the way that they're doing it. And I think you can kind of fix it yourself by just doing it more often than either one of these two is really telling you to do it. I would say at least a year. Do it every year. I put roughly 3,000 to 5,000 miles on my car every year. So every transmission filter change will be done at the same time my oil is changed.
Yeah, you see where a professor's going there?
Yeah, I do. That's exactly why I didn't say it.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to say it. And the reason is because I want to make a quick point on that Fuchs or whatever you say it.
I was going to say it would have to be Fuchs, yeah.
Okay, so if it's Fuchs, if you look at the price of their fluid, it's $16, right? And it's the same transmission, right?
Yeah.
$16 a quart versus our fluid, which is AC Delco,
like 40.
It's $30 or
Yeah.
20, 25, 30, 40, whatever, depending on where you get it from. So what does that tell you about the fluid? And I've heard that that's the same fluid that Fuchs makes. It's the same as Delco. It looks the same. People are saying it's the same fluid. It's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about that. You could literally, but I wouldn't recommend that to anybody because you're warranty. Yeah. But if you were out of warranty, I would feel okay putting that Fuchs fluid, just given that it's probably the same as Delco, in the car if you're outside of warranty, just because it looks the same. I've heard it's the same. I can't prove it. But the additives are supposedly the same. And I think it's just different company branding on the actual fluid itself. It's a lot cheaper than our Delco fluid.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, but I would put money on the fact it's just a rebranded same fluid because the transmission's the same. Like it probably needs a very specific fluid, but
well, answer this, Justin. Why would a Maserati? You would think a Maserati would have more expensive transmission fluid than a Corvette, right?
No. Maseratis, and somebody brought that up to me not too long ago, where the name Maserati sounds expensive, but Maserati, there's a ton of Maseratis out there for like 30 grand. They're not overly expensive cars.
Because they're not reliable, though, right? That's why usually.
It's not even just that they're not reliable. They are horrible at losing resale value. I mean, you think the C8 or Corvettes in general is bad? That MC20, while it's a nice car and apparently a pretty good performing car, I've never driven one, but I've heard good things about them. There was one that I saw not too long ago that lost like 100 grand in like the first 2 months. It was worth 100 grand less. And it's like, that's not an insignificant amount of money to lose in a year. Like, that is radical. Maseratis have like the worst resale on the planet. Z06 Hot Rod Todd says, maybe if you change the filter every year, the fluid will lasts a year longer. I would put money on the fact that's exactly what makes that fluid last longer. And why not do that same thing for your car? Make the fluid last longer. And even if you change it, you still change it at the 3-year mark, you're going to have a lot more life left in that than if you wait the 7,500 mile for the filter change and then the second one at 22,500. When did you first change your filter, Brandon?
After I think I watched your video, and I think I texted you and said, hey, mine's shifting kind of weird. It was somewhere around like 6,000. It was around there. It was before my 7,000. I changed it again at 7. So I think I've changed it at least 3 times so far.
Okay.
At 13,000.
Because I did my first free one on my black Z06 at 2,000 miles, and with my Seawolf Gray Z06, I did the same thing. It was right around 2,000 miles. I feel like waiting the 7,500 is a bad idea, especially after when you pull it out of there with 2,000 miles on and you put in the new one, and the transmission feels like it shifts like a brand new car again. That by itself kind of tells me something's jamming up that filter. Like, that's not a good thing in the first 2,000. And what if you wait 7,500? Now that filter is even more jammed up, and it could potentially start spitting dirt out into your valve body and end up with the same problem that Brandon had. So changing the filter, like I said, you can't change it too often.
Stephen brought up a good point that they're allowing the techs now to change the valve bodies. What's important about that too is one thing I noticed when I called around to try to find the valve body, they are stocking those at the dealers. Almost every dealer I talked to had that valve body in stock. So what does that tell you? If that is a specific valve body for that transmission, they have that part number in stock at almost every dealer I talked to. That tells you that they're doing a lot of swaps in those valve bodies, in
Yeah.
my opinion, because they're not going to stock a $2,000 part at their warehouse unless they're doing a lot of swaps.
The number one thing that I heard with the Z06 especially, if people were getting transmission check engine light codes, it was almost always a valve body that needed replaced. Jeremy, 2020 Matrix 8, I don't know if he's in here or not. He had the same problem. He got the same kind of message, idle creep, and it ended up being a valve body. As soon as they replaced the valve body, it was fine. And it's like that was on a brand new car. That was on a car with like no miles on it. So they stock these things because apparently it's been an issue. But as of now, I haven't heard anybody that has had that issue past 2024. So 2025 cars, I personally haven't seen or heard anybody having a valve body like idle creep issue with a 2025. So maybe they figured something out. Did
Possibly, I
your
will say, I know a guy that has a 23, which they made a change to 23, 24 with
yeah,
the M1M. But I know a guy with a 23 that's had 3 valve bodies, and he's at 46,000 miles.
that's
And
wild.
he's on his third one, and he treats his car like I treat mine.
Okay, so did the valve body that you bought, did it have like a revision number or anything on it?
If it did, I didn't see it. From my understanding, there were 2 part numbers when I went to order it, but the second part number was the one that controls the forks. So it's the side one. It wasn't the bottom one. So there were only 2 part numbers to order from. So it was kind of like figuring out which part number it was. I don't remember any sort of revision number, but I did hear that from 23 to 24 there was a change. As far as I can't remember if it's. I know the case changed. I don't know if the actual valve body itself had changed as well, but I know there was
Yeah.
a change from
I
23
don't
to
I don't know
24.
if they would even necessarily tell you that, but it does seem like they might have changed something from the 23s to the 25s with that valve body because I haven't personally heard of anybody with a 25 having a problem with it. But I know a handful of people that had the problem with a 23.
Well, there was a rumor initially that there was a lot of quality control when the M1M came out for the
Yeah.
Z06, that transmission in particular, that Tremec had some quality control issues. So the cars that were, if you think about it, if we think it's being clogged by something, why would that happen to a car that has 600 miles on it, right? They haven't
Exactly.
had enough time.
Right.
They're under break-in. Like they're not going to have enough time to put enough material. So those cars, the ones with early less than 2,000 miles, I think this is my opinion. I think that those cars had a quality control issue,
Yep.
and I think that's probably been fixed now. And that's probably why you're not seeing on the 25s because they fixed the quality control problem. But I think as time goes on, I think we're going to still see the clogging of clutch debris on high miles cars. But you think about a 25, who's got a lot of miles on a 25?
Right.
Like, nobody's got
Right.
30,000 on them really. I mean, they might, but most people don't. So I think the quality control has been fixed. I just don't think the underlying issue necessarily is fixed because we're using the same filters and the same service intervals. That's my
So
opinion.
so what if you change the filter slash fluid more often like you're planning on doing? Do you think that is going to, I mean, obviously that's going to lessen the potential that your valve body is going to get clogged up, but do you think that that's going to completely erase it?
I think it's going to solve a lot of the issues because they list our clutch as a lifetime clutch, which I don't necessarily believe that for most people. For a lot of people's usage, yes, but I think for some people, not. I don't think it's necessarily a lifetime clutch, but they're listing it as lifetime clutch. So if that's true, then the only way to circumvent the clutch debris is to change the fluid more often, in my opinion. So I think by doing that, and also to think about it, most of the debris that comes out is going to be in the early life of the trans. So I think as time goes on, you can maybe potentially shorten that a little bit if you're not hard on the car. But I think the early parts of the fluid changes is more important than even the later parts, just because the break-in stuff's all out of it. And like I said, I had to change mine twice. So even when you're changing it, you're not necessarily getting all the fluid out. There's still a couple quarts that's in there that's still circulating. So there's still debris that gets sent back in. So I think after a couple changes, that potentially moving forward, depending on what the oil analysis ends up showing, maybe we could lax that a little bit if you're not super hard on the car and you're not doing all the launches like you were, just because I think the material probably goes down a little bit as time goes on. just from like the initial break-in stuff. That's just an opinion. I don't have anything data to back that up.
Yeah, so one thing I know I wanted to talk about actually was Dan's 2024 Seawolf Z06 here. We had talked a lot about this going down to the bash. He had obviously a Seawolf Z06, a 24 Seawolf Z06 to be exact. And they initially he had a problem with it. They replaced the entire transmission. And then afterwards had a similar problem, maybe the same one, I can't remember if it was. But the second time they changed the valve body, and that apparently fixed it for him. So again, the issue was still somewhat prevalent in 24, but I don't know. I mean, my 25 car seems a little bit better put together, I should say. Everything feels different with the 25 that I have, and I'm not sure. It could just be a new car thing, but at the same time, everything seems like it works a little bit better. Like even with the new cats I have on, I've had no problems with check engine lights or anything like that. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Now I did on my 23, I did get random check engine lights for weird stuff. Like I'm trying to think of what the one was. I can't remember what the code was, but it was something just odd where I started the car, I had a check engine light, and I remember I checked it, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something really weird. It's just like off the wall. I turned the car off, turned it back on, and it was gone. And it's like that kind of stuff by itself is really strange. But I've had nothing like that with the 25.
Well,
There are a lot of people in here talking about the cost of changing the filter and the fluid, and I'll ask you in a second, Brandon, because you probably have an idea of what you paid. But for the filter especially, you can buy the filter on Amazon or Rock Auto. I think the cheapest is actually Rock Auto, and it's right around $100. If you buy it from GM, you're at around $250 for a filter, which is ridiculous. So about $100 from Rock Auto or Amazon, and I'll do that at the same time I do an oil change, which for the 5W50 you have to put in there and the filter, and even if I buy a new dry sump plug just in case, you're all in under $300 for an oil change and a transmission filter change. Now, the transmission fluid, like Brandon was saying, is pretty expensive. So if you go through Rock Auto or Amazon, you want to make sure, number one, that you're getting fluid that hasn't been sitting on a shelf for 3 years, because it does have a shelf life. The fluid is somewhat apparently hydroscopic. It will absorb moisture. So you don't want it sitting on a shelf for long periods of time. You want to get a pretty new bottle. But assuming you can get that, you're looking at probably $20 to $28 a quart, and you're going to need roughly 10 of them. So you're looking at about $280 to $300 plus $100 filter. So if you do it yourself, which you can do, because Fusion GT here saying that he was quoted $18.20 for the filter and the fluid, but transmission flush is not included. It is not a flush procedure. You drain the transmission, plug it up, and you pump fluid in, just like as if it was a manual transmission. It's a drain and fill. There is no flush procedure needed. If you do that yourself, you're looking at roughly $500. What did you end up spending, Brandon?
So when I did this last time, I had to buy the main filter, the one on the bottom, the actual like lifetime, as they quote, filter. So that filter itself was around
that's right.
$200, which is, so I had to buy that as well. And then of course they charged me the dealer's cost because I think I got the other one at the dealer too. So I think I paid way too much. I think it was around 160 or something, for 160 to 180, somewhere in there, for the AC Delco regular service filter. And then for the fluid, I didn't want to spend all that. So I ended up going with Valvoline, but I wouldn't recommend this to anybody because you want to keep your warranty. I absolutely do not recommend doing Valvoline unless you're outside of warranty and you're just wanting a cheaper fluid to try and use. But if you're within warranty, do not do Valvoline. I'm just saying I paid $10 a quart for mine, which is about $150. Or actually, I think I did 12 quarts is what I bought because I thought it was going to need 12. So that was $100. So I ended up spending I guess that would be about $500 or so on 2 filters and fluid. And since I had the access door that gives easy access, adding the fluid was super easy. The Corsa intake, I could just add it from the top,
Yeah.
and I could add it within like I could actually change my fluid out now. If you have the access door, I can change it with the Corsa intake. And I think even Cherry's probably the same. You could probably get right to that hole right
Well,
there.
let me ask you, Brandon, did you go through the hole to top by the Corsa intake? Why?
Yep. Just because I already had the side off in order to get it to its level. So what I did was, instead, I didn't know exactly how much it's going to take to get it to that point. So I took off the side, which is your fill hole, which you can either use for a fill hole, but
Right.
you know it's level by how much when it comes out. I just
Yeah.
took that out, and I went to the top, took that one out, and then I just filled it in for the top. And once it started leaking, I stopped.
Was it
and
just
plugged from
because
the
it was
side.
easier, gravity feed, or okay?
Yeah, it was so easier. I did a 2 funnel setup, and
Yeah.
it was so fast. If you try to funnel it from the side out the
Yeah.
wheel well,
No.
it's so slow from gravity. It
Yeah,
takes like an hour.
I wouldn't want to do it like that. I'd probably use a pump to pump it into the side.
Or pump.
Only so I don't have to take like the clear cover off and all that stuff for the intake. But I got to ask you about the flush that you're talking about, because I'm assuming you're referring to the procedure that GM does right before you change the filter, where they run the car at 5,000 RPM. I saw you and one other Steven talking about that. That has been 100% discounted from Josh Holder himself on video, saying you do not need to do that. That is not something that needs to be done. If you're driving the car from your house to the dealership, your car is already doing the same thing that flush procedure does at the dealership.
I will say one thing. The only reason I do it now is just because I like the fact that it takes like 5 or 6 minutes, and it is essentially doing what you're doing while you're driving. But the reason I like it in my case is that because it disables your rear axle, you can sit there either in or out. You have to be in the car because you have to touch the brake initially, but you can sit there. It takes 5 or 6 minutes, and it's actually physically going through and pushing fluid through all the access ports. So you're doing what you're doing when you're driving, but you're not necessarily, depending on your drive. What if you only go
Yeah.
a block and you don't go
And
through all your
that's
gears? You don't hit
he
eight gear.
kind of touches on that, because like you're obviously doing it in your garage where you haven't driven the car, so absolutely understandable. But like for me, whenever I had it done at my dealership's an hour away from my house. I
Yeah,
go
I wouldn't
through.
worry about it.
Yeah, and when I get there, they do it anyway because it's part of what their procedure is. Even though I've been told by the service tech, I've been told by Josh Holder himself, and it's on video of Josh Holder saying that you don't have to do it. It does depend on your drive, I suppose, but like I want to make sure that people understand you don't have to do that. That's not something you have to do. If you want to change the filter and the fluid yourself, there is no flush required. You don't have to do it.
That's absolutely correct. If you have the tool, like I just happen to have the tool, so it's like one of those things where it's easier for me because I don't have to go around the road.
I have
can just do it.
I have the tool as well, and honestly, like if I were to bust my car out for spring, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to change the oil and the transmission filter and stuff. Now, I would do it at that point because I haven't driven the car yet, so there is a reason to do it at that point. But otherwise, I want to make sure that everybody understands that you don't have to do that. I've seen that pop up a million times. It is 100% it's not necessary, especially if you're driving the car. So like take the car for a joyride, take it out for 20, 30 minutes, come back, and then change the filter. That's basically the same thing.
Oh, you see Ken's in here. Hey, Ken.
Texas Clay, what's up? Yep. Ken is in here. And he's also a member, guys. Check that. Actually, he's been a member for 13 months too. Look at that. So Brandon's Garage, Squirrel Cage, Professor Corvette, 24 Seawolves Z06. And then those are all 13 months. And then Riptide Rick, I believe, is 12. Like those are just like the last couple names I see on the screen here. That's really awesome. And yeah, Riptide Rick actually brings up a good point because somebody asked what I thought about the transmission filters from Amazon. Don't buy anything on Amazon that is not OEM from GM for these filters. I can't tell you why, because I don't actually know, but I guarantee you there is a difference between those filters, and you don't want to find out the hard way that you put a filter in there that's not doing what it should be doing. So if you go on Amazon, there are sellers that will resell ones that have the OEM stickers and the hologram GM stuff and everything. Those are the ones you want, or go to Rock Auto and get actual OEM filters. I wouldn't mess with that.
Justin,
Yeah.
Tell me if you would use this or not. Okay, so Datsun makes for our transmission a serviceable transmission filter. It's a all mesh metallic filter that they make that's supposedly a reusable one. Now, would you use that?
I'd have to see it. I'm gonna go immediately with no, but who makes it?
It's Datsun. Datsun actually makes it. It's all metal. It's like reusable. I don't know how much it costs, but I saw it on their website. I was looking at their clutch parts, and I just happened to see it. But they offer it for sale. I don't know what the cost is. It's probably $500 or something.
I mean, if that actually worked, you'd save yourself a ton of money and a bunch of time because I mean, you just pull that out, wash it off, and put it back in. But I don't know.
My problem is
That's
getting it clean enough. I don't
yeah.
know. You know, I mean,
I mean, you
I
could
guess you
spray
can put it
that
in the
with like
parts washer.
yeah, put it like brake part cleaner or something. Just completely get it completely clean. I would be more worried about what that filter isn't catching. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it just feels like it wouldn't be as fine of a filter as the stock one is.
I suspect it's only for race
Yeah,
applications. Like I'm sure the microns are not as probably
yeah,
can't catch something as small as the stock filter. I would imagine. But
I would agree. But if it did, that sounds like a good idea actually. And then the fact that they're making it too, like it makes me
yeah,
wonder because it's not like some third party company that doesn't know what they're doing. So yeah.
yeah, they listed on their catalog. It's I just saw it today actually. I think it's been there for a while. I just happened to pay attention to it.
Z06 Hot Rod Todd says, Justin, would you get a Stars and Steel ZR1 if you had the chance when your allocation hits? I actually wanted to talk a little bit about those because it's actually a pretty cool looking car. Now, obviously, for the most part, it's just a sticker package. But if you guys haven't seen this yet, this is a new kind of special edition that GM's offering. I think they're only selling 250 of them, is what I read. Something like that. It's going to be a very rare kind of car, but the sticker package is pretty cool. It's like half the car is a stealth looking American flag on black. I like the way that looks, but I don't think, have they talked about pricing on that yet? Because if they're going to come out and charge some ridiculous price for it, I would say I'll pass. I don't see a price on this though. Um, 250th anniversary of the United States. Okay, so that's not what they weren't making 250 of them, or maybe they are still. I should
I
probably
thought
be.
I read 250 somewhere. Is that the same one, or am I thinking a different special edition?
I thought I read that they were making 250. Yeah, but that might just be the year. How many they? No, yeah, only the Corvette lineup will be limited to 250. Okay, so yeah, those are going to be ungodly priced most likely for some reason, but at the end of the day,
Somebody's gonna buy them.
it's just a kind of a sticker package. They actually will buy them, and they'll have probably a relatively rare car in their hands. I mean, that thing looks pretty friggin' awesome. It is a sticker package, but it's definitely one of the nicer sticker packages that I've seen. And if it's going to be worth a crap ton of money if you get one. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd buy one though, just because the price is not likely to be where I would want it to be. Yeah, the Silverados, it's offering this for pretty much, I think it was pretty much all the GM car, like top cars. It has the Silverado, looks like Colorado, the EV Silverado, the GMC Denali maybe. Or no, that's the High Country Silverado, and then the Corvettes. So it's kind of it's neat, but like I said, probably not worth the cost. All right, so guys, one more time before we wrap this up. The sponsor of tonight's video is cforce Performance. They are going to be giving away a $100 gift certificate tonight. If you want to get entered, it will also enter you in for the Euro taillights, which will end next Monday night. If you're wondering, Justin, what the heck is a Euro taillight? This is what a Euro taillight is. So it actually grays out the red part of the taillight, and depending on the color of your car, it looks really cool. Goes really well with Seawolf Gray and Rapid Blue, like Brandon has discovered. So cforce Performance is the sponsor. They're giving these taillights to the channel for giveaway. If you guys want to get entered in on those, we have a good bit of entries already on them, but If you want to do it again tonight, we're going to be drawing the winner of the $100 gift certificate here very shortly. Yeah. Yep, I agree. Steven says the markup on that sucker is going to be huge. It absolutely is going to be huge. Trucks and Corvette only. Yeah. I would pull all those stickers off to do the PPF anyway. So
Oh, they have to. So I was curious about that. So you can't PPF over the
you
stickers at
can,
all?
but the problem is like if the car's black and like my car would be black and then the stars and steel logo would be a matte black. When you gloss wrap over top of a matte black sticker, it turns it gloss. So, and on top of that, it would be there'd be like a tiny air channel around it. So you'd be like what looks like white around it. So I usually pull off the logos and put them back on over top of PPF just so it looks the same. Texas Clay says, did you all congratulate Justin for his latest milestone in YouTube? Congratulations, Justin. Thank you. We actually talked about that a little bit ago. For those of you just joining or that didn't hear it, it was we hit 100,000 subscribers in 2025, and we just hit 40 million channel views as well in 2025. So 2 pretty big milestones, and it's all thanks to you guys. You guys keep watching this stuff, and when you do, it all tallies up. Ooh, Professor Corvette, are you really waiting for a quail? That's pretty cool. I didn't know if you were really doing that.
That's awesome. I think those are badass.
Dan says, thanks for another informative Monday night. Great to see you, Brandon. Have a great week, everyone. Stay obsessed. Thanks for tuning in, Dan. We always appreciate it. All right, so if we don't have any more entries, let me see. I'm going to give you guys 2 more minutes to get in on this if you want to get in on the giveaway for a $100 gift certificate to the cforce Performance website. It will also get you entered in for the Euro taillights. So thank you, Gordon. I appreciate that. If you guys wanted to get the set of Euro taillights, absolutely jump on that. And it will also get you entered in for a $100 gift certificate tonight. 2020 Matrix 8 says, love seeing the Mountain Dew pillow back there. Yeah, that's awesome. So Jeremy, 2020 Matrix 8, actually bought that for me. Him and his girlfriend, I guess. But it's very nice. Yeah, Jay Brazelton says, make him a quail. I could do that for you, Professor Corvette. If you buy a Blade Silver car, I can stealth wrap it and get you the same kind of thing and save you a lot of money. Okay. Let's see. All right. I don't see any other entries here, so Professor Corvette says, what's the next HPO event? Man, I've been trying. I've got so much stuff going on in the house right now. Getting a bunch of house repairs done and stuff. It's been wild to even think of anything, but I would like to say I will do a car show probably in May. I did one in May 2 years ago down at the Blackout Tinting here in Gibsonia, Pennsylvania, and it turned out pretty well. The parking lot down there will hold like 300 cars or something crazy. So, and we had almost, I think it was 250 we had at one point show up there. So there was a lot of cars that showed. But if that's the case, it'd be awesome to have you come up, Professor Corvette, hang out for the day in Pennsylvania. And in that time, May-ish will actually be nice here. So,
Well, he's got the bash in April too. That he's nearby, right?
yep, the Bash for sure. Corvettes of Carlisle for sure. Those are the only ones I know for sure right now. But I'm sure we'll come up with other stuff.
We need to get him to do the go-karts this year at the bash.
With how
I don't think he did them last year.
Me?
Huh? No, not Nate, Professor. I don't think he did the go-karts when we did them this past year.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. I think he left by then or something, or I can't remember. Was he at? I thought he was at. Yeah, he was at the bash.
He was there. I don't know. I don't think he didn't do it, but
I think they left before we went, because it was like the last day that we did that. I think the go karts.
I would just oh, here we go. Lewis says, Justin, how much to do a Blade Silver car? Exact same stuff as Drag Times car tint. If you do it at the shop in Florida, I can cut you a better deal. So if you want to know the specifics, normally it's $6,500 for a stealth wrap, $1,000 for ceramic, and roughly $400 to $500 for the good high end window tint. But if you shoot me an email, if you really wanted to do that, I can work you out a better price just because you're HPO subscriber. So heard my name in the background. C8 and 8's like barely paying attention, but he heard his name, so he had to come pop up. AARPM left before the go-karts as well. That was the last day, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think it
at the
was.
very end. I think it was like 4 o'clock. It was literally right at the very end.
Mr. Toybox, if you wanted to get entered, it's $10 per one entry. $50 or more will get you double entries. You can enter right here on the super chat through YouTube, or pinned up at the very top of the chat is my Venmo. You can send it that way too. If you're going to do it, let me know. I'll wait for you, but otherwise we're going to run this thing here pretty quickly. Professor Corvette says, me and the lady professor did the carts in October. Couldn't avoid ramming her at the end because my brakes weren't working. What we're gonna do this, if you go, are you planning on going this year, Brennan?
Yeah, I'll be there.
If what we're gonna do is everybody will go in the go-karts, everybody but you and TJ, and then you and TJ will go by yourselves. That way, if you want to kill each other, you can do it right there and not hurt anybody else.
I will be first to admit I can't beat TJ. He's too good. Like,
dude, TJ
there's not many people I would say that about. He's legit. He's a legit driver. He can drive.
TJ is the real deal. And
he's
he is so
fast.
I was going to say, he is so smooth about it. And he is like that with everything in life. Like, he is one of the most laid back dudes, but you will not beat him at anything. Like it's crazy how good he is at everything in his life, and he's so laid back about it.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I know better than I think. I would need a lot of practice, probably like years of practice, to be able to beat him on the go karts.
Yeah, he didn't hit the turtle, but he was just saying that there was a turtle on the track, which is still pretty funny.
Yeah, maybe it'll rain this year too, and we can do another rain track run. That was fun. Do you think they'll have 0-1s at the NCM? Because they had E-Rays this past year. And the E-Rays are relatively new. You don't think they'll have rentals?
I don't think so, but I would love to be wrong about that. That'd be pretty cool.
I would pay $1,000 because they were charging, I think, $400 for the Z06, something like that, for 5 laps. I would pay $1,000 for the 0-1 to do 5 laps in it for sure.
Didn't they limit like how fast you can go though? Didn't you have to follow a lead car?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
I don't know if you were technically limited. I think it was raining, so I can't really say for sure.
Right.
Because I couldn't go that fast in the rain anyway. But I think as long as you push it, that car will try to stay ahead of you as much as possible. But yeah, technically, you're limited on how fast you can go.
All right, Aaron, I got you in for 20 entries. And we're waiting on Mr. Toybox. He says he's entering paying via Venmo. So as soon as that comes in, we'll go ahead and run the wheel. Yeah, you could skip that. Just hit pay anyway without that information, Mr. Toybox.
Oh, they're getting 0-1s. You see, Professor said they're getting a 0-1 at the MCM. So we could rent one.
Huh, okay. All right. Did they make you wear helmets?
Yeah. No, actually, I didn't because I had the trail car and it was raining in the E-Ray. I'm surprised they didn't. I guess that's because they're limiting your speed. But my wife and I didn't have helmets on.
Okay. That's good. One of the things I hated the most at Ron Fellows was that Hans device. Oh, I hate that thing. All right.
I didn't know that Bill went with TJ on the track. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. Yeah, he went with him at pit race. Joey, is that you, Mr. Toybox? Is that okay? Yeah, I got you in for an entry then. So we are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and start setting that up. Yeah, so Bill went with TJ on pit race. TJ had a completely gutted Miata.
Awesome. Is that his personal race car that he races?
I think it was his. I'm not 100% sure. Bill would have the answer to that. I'm pretty sure it was his, but I don't know 100%.
Oh, I bet he's fast. I bet he's real fast.
Okay, I'm just entering these names in now, guys, and then we are going to spin this wheel. This is just for the $100 gift card tonight, guys. The everybody that entered tonight will also get entered for the Euro taillights, but that's not this tonight. This will just be for the $100 gift certificate to the cforce Performance website. Alan says, advice, is the C706 auto worth it? It depends on if you're comparing it to a C806. If you're thinking about getting one of the two, I would go with the C806 if it's an auto, and I'd go with the C706 if it's a manual.
I would pick it over the Stingray, though, the C706 auto, for sure, if it's 16 and up.
I agree. That's another good point.
Because they're probably about the same price point now, the Stingray, if you get a decent 26.
All right, so Bill said that he believed all the cars were his buddy's cars.
Okay.
Okay, so got the wheel, as Professor Corvette said, all rigged up. So you're too much, Professor. This wheel is literally on a website. I couldn't rig this thing if I wanted to. All right, so browser, and I'll go ahead and hit shuffle a couple times. Is that enough times, Professor, or do you think I should hit a couple more times? I'm going to leave it up to you.
If it is rigged, I would be upset because I never won. I've never won, not once. I've lost every single time.
I think that's a really good example of the fact that it's not rigged, because if it was, the first people that would win would be my friends.
Either that or I'm not truly your friend, Justin. It's one of the two.
Right. Nate won once. Do one more, he says. Okay, so shuffle. There you go. That's one more. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit it now.
Ever said a couple more. I'm trying to see it in real time. Let's see.
Looks like Steve Robertson.
Congrats, Steve.
All right, Steve. So what that really means is you won a $100 gift certificate to the cforce Performance website, but your 20 entries will also go into the Euro taillights for next week's giveaway. So guys, again, thank you for everybody for the support. Brandon revised the wheels code, changed the fluid. There you go. Yeah, it was really dirty, he said. So, but yeah, guys, thanks again for the support. Big thank you to Brandon for tuning in to give us his transmission knowledge on the C8 Corvette. Really appreciate it. Steve Robertson, if you want to shoot me an email, I'm going to need some information from you to get you set up with that $100 gift certificate. So just send me an email with your first, last name, phone number, and what your email address is, which will obviously be on the email itself. But yeah, no, see, Jay, that does not disqualify him from the taillights. He's still entered for those as well. So you guys are still going to battle that out. But that's going to be it, guys. Like I said, big thank you to all of you for the support. I appreciate it. Big thank you to Brandon for coming out. Guys, stay obsessed. We'll see you same time, same place next Monday night. See ya.